you don't have to be Congolese because it's rape. It's everything that diminishes a human being. So I'm here with Charles, actually he's from Cameroon, and also the editor of Immigrant Magazine, the publisher of Immigrant Magazine. Charles, how you doing?
Wonderful, Brother Eric.
So I want to thank you, of course, for being here. What message do you have actually about this whole situation in Congo?
You see, it's very, very important that the unheard voice, we as publishers of the Immigrant Magazine represent the voice of the immigrants from all over the world. And more importantly, we represent the unheard voice of the immigrants. And one of such unheard voices is the voice of the people of the Congo.
Correct.
And we as immigrants from all over Africa today stand as one, one united Africans to talk about the crisis in the Congo, because if we do not say anything about the crisis in the Congo, we are not working for Africa.
That's correct.
And so we're out here today to tell the world at large that the killings, the genocide, the war, the exploitation of the people of the Congo should stop.
Yeah.
It must come to an end. America, the powers that be, must pay some attention. They should stop giving a dead ear to all the raping and the genocide that's taking place in the Congo right now.
I just want you guys to know that we know what's going on over there. A lot of us have been there and seen it, and we're doing what we can to raise attention so that people are aware and that the action is taken to stop the genocide.
Another company is Banro. Banro is in South Kivu, and this is 5 or 6 Canadian directors. And these directors are very powerful men. And if anybody should be indicted for war crimes and genocide, it should be the directors of Banro Corporation. Because if you know your geography, South Kivu is a fairly small state of the Congo. The Congo is a huge place. South Kivu is a huge place, but it's a small part of the Congo. But Banro has control, Banro Mining Company has control of thousands and thousands of square miles of South Kivu. How does that happen? When all these people are being forced off of their land in the Kivus, when people are being forced out of their villages by soldiers, militias, fighting, how does a gold mining company from Canada fly in, set up an operation in the middle of Kivu with brand new equipment, mining equipment that costs millions and millions and millions of dollars that they fly in on their airplanes? How do they do that? This is the system that is involved in the war in the Congo, and it's the part that you need to challenge, that we need to challenge. It's not Mr. Laurent Nkunda. Nkunda is the problem, but he's not the ultimate problem. Mr. Nkunda should not be in the Congo because he's supported by Rwanda and Museveni. Both of them are backing Nkunda. And of course the news, if you know the news recently, they said that Mr. Nkunda was arrested. He's not arrested. He's in Rwanda in a swimming pool. Mr. Kabarebe, if anybody should be arrested, it should be James Kabarebe. So the court in Spain has found that 40 top officials The court in Spain has delivered indictments, international arrest warrants, against the top 40 officials in the Rwandan government. And they can't deliver an indictment against Paul Kagame because he's currently a president, and the system makes that impossible. No matter how illegal or corrupt you might be, like Bill Clinton or George Bush, or General Pinochet in Chile, you can't remove him from power because he's a head of state. That's wrong. That's a system whereby the people put these people in power, like Kagame, and they keep them in power, and they make sure that they can't be removed, because if we remove Kagame, who's next? Maybe it's Mr. Clinton, or Mr. Bush, or Mr. Blair. And these are the guys that made the war in Congo happen. from Uganda to Rwanda. They overthrew Rwanda, and then they overthrew Mobutu. So let's go back to Mobutu. The way the media today answers Mobutu, they say, what happened in Zaire? Well, there was this man named Mobutu. He destroyed the country of Zaire. He's dead now. We're lucky. He sent all his money to the Swiss banks, and he ruined the Congo. And that's the end of the story. As if there was nobody else. There was nobody else in Congo responsible for Mobutu staying in power, and there was nobody else outside of Congo responsible for Mobutu. Well, that's not true, because I've got a list of names, and at the very top is a man named Maurice Templesman. Has anybody heard of Maurice Templesman? Maurice Templesman. Maurice Templesman is on the board of the Harvard AIDS Institute. AIDS, HIV/AIDS. This man does not care about black people. But he's on the board of the Harvard AIDS Institute. There's a reason for that. The Harvard AIDS Institute is connected to the Pentagon. Now, it used to say this on their website, but after I reported it, it's gone. The connection to the Pentagon has disappeared. But anyway, who is Maurice Templesman? So remember, he's on the board of the Harvard AIDS Institute. Maurice Templesman was standing over the people's shoulder in Kinshasa in the 1961-62 period when Patrice Lumumba was assassinated. Maurice Templesman was there. This is the man who made it happen. This is the top man. They don't get any higher than Maurice Templesman. And there's a reason he's not ever going to be president, because the presidents aren't the highest people. It's Maurice Templesman and the people that work with him, the Central Intelligence Agency, a man named Lawrence Devlin. I mean, I could give you a lot of names that you've never heard, and this is the network that Maurice Templesman has in Africa. And some of these guys in Templesman's network include a man named Donald Isom. Anybody from Nigeria? Ever heard of the name Donald Isom? Ever heard of the name President Murtala Muhammad? Murtala Muhammad was assassinated. The man who was part of the assassination of Murtala Muhammad was Donald Isom. He's currently involved in the Congo with some of these so-called NGOs, so-called non-government organizations, completely connected to the United States government. So non-government organization is another euphemism for imperialism for most of these big NGOs. But let's go back to Maurice Templesman. 1962, Templesman made sure that Mobutu came to power. And from 62 to 97, they kept Mobutu in power. Now people would say, well, if Templesman is behind the war and the power in Congo and behind Mobutu, why did they take him out? Why did the United States take Mobutu out if the United States supported Mobutu? And the answer is, as anybody knows, things change. Mobutu got old. He clung to power, and they wanted to get rid of him. It's exactly what's happening with Mugabe in Zimbabwe. The system has supported Mugabe for years.